What's up, you guys? Welcome back to my channel. I am Ro. So in today's video, we're going to be talking about all thing moving expenses when it comes to moving across country. So I'm going to talk about not only my moving expenses, but exactly what my moving options were, everything else that came along with moving, including breaking my lease, finding a new apartment, and so forth. So I'm going to tackle all of that in this video. So let's get into it. I got a new notebook, so I just want to highlight it. It's so cute. So we're going to hit on my expenses, my moving options, savings, tips, and need to knows, as well as lessons learned. So let's just hop into exactly what were my moving options. And I had a total of 3. The first was container options. The second was U-Haul/truck rental. And the third was just family and friend moving across country without any outside help. So I did settle on using a container. With the container option, basically what it is you'll go online, go to any specific company of your choice, and you will select a container size and drop off date, pickup date, shipping date, and so forth. It'll be dropped off at your location, and you'll have so many odd days, however many days you schedule, to fill it up. They'll come and pick it up and ship it to your new location. You'll unload it, and then they will come and pick it up. Now, it is the most expensive option out of all 3. In total, I paid around $2,000 for this particular option. The biggest fee within that was the transport fee. So getting it from point A to point B, because it includes the labor cost. So what it costs to have a driver move it across country. The second option was a U-Haul/truck rental. Basically just, get a truck, fill it up, and then you drive it cross country. That option for me, just to have the truck, was about $400. That wasn't going to be the final cost. You would have to factor in how much it would be for gas, because they're going to charge you for it. So I would estimate that this option would be around $1,000 to $1,200 maybe. Last thing being family and friends. This was like the last option for me because of how up in the air my moving time would be. It would be hard to kind of gather up people to go 10 hours with me. So this was like the last option, but it would have been the cheaper option, because the most I would have done would be pay for everybody's gas. So that wouldn't have been more than $500, just budgeting just to be safe, around $500. Something to also consider in this, if you are moving alone and you have a lot of things and you don't plan on getting rid of furniture, is to hire moving companies. My camera decided to die mid-sentence. I think the camera cut me off when I was talking about the moving crew options. There are moving crew options to move you out of your place and also move you into your place. So they range from about $80 an hour to $200 an hour. So that is an option that you can consider, but if you want to just keep it as low costly as possible, I would say try your best to find some help, or maybe some unofficial movers. So yeah, that's also a cost. So it's adding up. I may just put some calculations on the screen. So that pretty much wraps up what my moving options were. Let's move on to my expenses. So let's run down the list. I had to consider how much it would be to break my lease, the container, couch removal, and everything that came along with finding a new apartment, including application fee, admin fee, deposit, and first month's rent. I also flew instead of driving, so the cost of a flight. My pod nor my car would be arriving until a week later after I moved, so I had to consider a rental cost or Ubering. Also moving supplies, so that includes tape, an extra cart for just moving things in and out, boxes, and so forth. And as I talk through each one, I will put on the screen how much that costs. So breaking my lease. Before I even considered breaking my lease, I did read my lease to see what were the protocols. So I highly suggest reading your lease to figure out what are the steps to breaking your lease. For me, I had to give a 60-day notice and I would be charged 1.5 times my base rent, which for my old place would equal up to about around $1,600 to break my lease. However, I didn't have to pay that fee, which we will talk about when I get into my savings. The pod itself, like I said, was about $2,000, so it's racking up. My couch removal was about $120. Now, I am going to talk about this in my lessons learned, but it was about $120 to have my couch removed. I believe my application fee was $75 and my admin fee was $300. So in total, that was about $375. I did not need a deposit, but I did have to pay my first month. However, I did get a savings, so my first month's rent was only $196. For Uber and rental for that first week of me being here, I'm gonna add it up to be about $200. I wasn't able to get a rental, but I did have to do Uber that first week. Maybe it wasn't quite 200. Maybe between 150 and 175. And then for my moving supplies like boxes, tape, carts, I'm going to say I spent about around $125 for my moving supplies. We're gonna add all of this up really quick. Boom, and the grand total is this. So in this amount is what I was expecting to pay and also just like final total of things. And now let's move on to savings, because I was able to break down this number into a much smaller number through savings. So now let's just get into the areas in which I was able to save in. So my breaking lease fee, not having to get a rental car, not having to do a moving crew, and also getting a rent special for my new place. So breaking my lease fee, like I said, would have been 1.5 times my base lease. However, I did have a deposit which equated to just 1 month's base rent, and that would have been credited to that 1.5 amount. However, they just decided to waive my breaking lease fee as a whole, and it only took a small amount out of my deposit to cover, I guess, any minor damage that may have been left in the apartment. I ended up getting a return of about $975 in that, so woo. So that was the biggest chunk. And also I wanted to say that in my breaking lease fee, I would have had 30 days to pay it off. No rental. I was expecting to spend about $400 to $500 on a rental. I wasn't able to get a rental, so that really knocked down that fee. Like I said, I paid around $175, so upwards between $325 and $350 of saving. I didn't have to do a moving crew. Thankfully, I have great family and friends, so I did have someone help me move out, and then my dad and my uncle drove here and helped me move in. So I did not have to do a moving crew. I completely forgot to mention that one of the biggest cost savings that I had was not having to have my car shipped. My dad and my uncle were gracious enough to rent a trailer and to haul it when they came to help me unpack. So yeah, forgot to mention that, but that was a really big one because shipping cars can be in those $1,000 ranges too. So definitely a big cost savings. So that was maybe a savings of about $400 to $500 to $600 total. Last but not least, rent specials. So when I signed my lease, I signed during a time that my complex had a rent special, which was 4 weeks free. So I only had to pay for the last 2 days of November. So that was why my first month's rent was only $196. So yeah, those were my savings. Let's just move to the lessons learned. First lesson I would say is I would consider selling more of my items. So this would have benefited me in 2 ways. I would have had a little bit more space when it came to moving, and number 2, the money that I made from selling those items, I could have credited into the things that I had to spend. So I could have saved maybe $300 to $500 in just selling some items, but a lot of my things I just donated or just gave to family. The second lesson learned is about the couch. Donation centers do free furniture pickups if scheduled ahead of time. And also, I could have sold that couch, but I really honestly just didn't want to go through the hassle of having to sell the couch and then people come into my place. It was just too much. My third lesson learned is do not put your information into mass mover website. Now, this particular one was an accident. I went to a website. I thought that I was putting my information into one moving company, but it turns out it was just like a one-stop shop for finding movers in your location. The last 2 weeks, I was getting calls back to back, emails back to back, text messages back to back. It wasn't any sensitive information. It was mainly just my email and my phone number. So far, we've covered moving options, expenses, savings, and lessons learned. Now let's just get into tips and need to knows. First thing, donate. Try your best not to just throw things out because it could be of some help to someone. Number 2, do not underestimate just how much or how many things that you have. Looking at your apartment when everything is put away and kind of tucked away in their own place versus when all of those things are out and exposed, it can be overwhelming. So be as organized as you can be when you are packing. Which leads me to my next point. Take it room by room. I would try my best to tackle one room at a time. So one day it could have been my office area, the next day it could have been my kitchen, the next day it could have been my living room, or sometimes I would do multiple rooms in a day, and I would kind of list out things that needed to be done in each room. Moving on, the next thing is to check the price of multiple companies. So with those moving options, don't limit yourself to just one company. Like with my container situation, I looked at a few container options. So I looked at their prices, availability, and so forth. I read a lot of reviews, so definitely don't limit yourself to one company. And the next thing, to save some money, try to sign a lease with a community that has a rent special going on at the time. Maybe no prorate rent, first month free, no deposit, no application fee, no admin fee. Just look and ask. Make sure you ask. If they don't have it posted, ask. When you're doing your apartment hunting, utilize Google Earth to see what areas are surrounding the immediate perimeter of your apartment building, of your house, just so you can see what area you're moving in and if you're okay with being next to maybe a train or next to where construction is being built. Will you get good views where you are? So definitely utilize Google Earth. Next thing I have on my list is to ask for a video of your particular apartment before you sign your lease. If you're moving cross country, you probably won't be able to visit your particular community nor the apartment. So ask one of the leasing managers to go into the apartment if it is already on the market and send you a video of the apartment so you'll know exactly what you're getting yourself into and you can kind of plan ahead when it comes to moving. Next thing on my list, which is probably the most important, save for the expected and the unexpected. There were probably some few minor things that I can't even remember throughout this process that may have cost me a few bucks, but plan for the expected and the unexpected over budget. Which leads me to my next thing, create a budget as much as you can. So at least list the things that you are expecting to pay for, even if you're not sure exactly how much they will cost, or just have like a big number in mind and kind of just set aside that money strictly for moving. And the next thing is to recycle moving materials, recycle and reuse. So I did buy more boxes this time around, but I do plan on keeping those boxes for my next moves. Anything that you can recycle, reuse, be sure to keep up with those because having to buy moving materials every time you move can be a lot. So it's just a little small cost savings. And last but not least on my list is to remember to always take care of yourself throughout this process. Moving is stressful, moving is time consuming, and it's easy to get wrapped up in everything that you may have going on and all the things that you may have to do. But make sure that you are taking care of yourself, taking your vitamins, drinking your water, eating multiple meals a day, because you don't want to feel depleted after the process, during the process, and you want to keep your spirits high, because it is a big deal to move across country. You want to keep your excitement as fresh as possible and keep that energy going. But if you guys have any other questions, please feel free to leave them down below in the comment section. And for this video, let's do some type of money emoji, maybe $1. Let's do $1. Do the dollar emoji. If you want to keep up with me in between my uploads, according to Ro on Instagram and according the number 2 Ro on TikTok. I think that's all I got. But leave that $sign, and I will see you guys in my next video.